Why you feel like you're losing friends after getting sober, and here's why some of your friendships may not survive sobriety, and that might not be a bad thing. Okay, so you may feel like you're losing people after you get sober. There is definitely 100% going to be a shift in your relationships and your friendships. And I'm going to talk about that in this video. It's not because you have changed for the worse, it's because you have started growing. So I'm going to talk about in this video why our friendships shift in sobriety and how to navigate that with grace and self-respect. Number one, I want to say this straight off the bat. One of the tasks of sobriety is you're going to have to renegotiate your friendships. And I don't mean like you sit around a table and have a negotiation with the people you know. It's very informal, right? You have patterns with your friends, patterns of what you do together, how you are together, what happens. You have established patterns, and you probably have, with a lot of people, patterns of drinking, right? Whether it's liquid lunches or drinks after work, or maybe you don't see these people very often, but when you do, drinking is always involved. So you're breaking a pattern. Not everybody's going to like that, and that's okay. By the way, the only people who don't like that are the people who have a problem with alcohol themselves. I'm just going to say it. The only people who won't like the fact that you've stopped drinking and that you're sober are the people who have a problem with alcohol. They would much prefer it if you went back to the way things were, because that's more comfortable for them. So there is nothing like getting sober for finding out who your real friends are. I'll just say that. And I'm going to say a bit more of that as we go along. If you need some help with this, check the links in the description below. Okay. So when I came into sobriety, I had a lot of alcohol centered friendships. In fact, that was all of my friendships. Everything involved drinking, right? So my pattern was going out and binge drinking. Now, every so often I would meet someone who I really clicked with and we'd go for lunch, whatever, and they would be like a one glass of wine kind of person. And I'd be like, and I'd feel a bit like awkward, like, because I want to drink more, right? I want to drink 2 bottles of wine, but you're fine with 1 bottle. And like, I felt like that kind of shined a light on my drinking. And that always meant that that friendship never really kind of went very far. And because I gravitated towards people who drank the way that I did. That's the thing. Drinkers gravitate towards people who drink like them. So when you stop drinking, it really upsets the apple cart, because if you are stopping drinking because you are saying that your drinking has become a problem or isn't good for you or you don't want to do it anymore, then what does it say about their drinking? And that's what they don't like. So you will hopefully have friends who will support you, who want the best for you, and will be really happy to do non-alcohol related activities with them. And this will all shake itself out over the next few months. Now, I want to tell you, we go through a lot of processes in early sobriety, and one of them is the grief process. You are going to go through the grief process for alcohol, but also for the whole kind of identity and rituals that you had around alcohol. So when I was saying about patterns, there's a lot about alcohol that's a ritual, right? From how we drink, where we drink, right? We're not just drinking, straight ethanol from a cup, right? There's a bottle and there's a color and there's a smell and there's a certain environment, right? And a lot of people will feel a lot of sadness that they can't have or do those things anymore. Now, I want to stress you're not going to miss out on anything being sober. 100%. I've done everything. I've been to breweries. I've been to vineyards. I've done all of that. Like, I have spent a whole lot of time doing vineyards, right? Because once was enough. Because that's just not my thing, because I don't drink alcohol. But you can go to all these places and you don't miss out on anything. But you need to be prepared for this big rearrangement that's happening in your life, right? Weekends for me was the whole weekend was spent in the pub. I loved pubs in England. I loved them. The football, the fireplace, the smell, the food, the camaraderie, the pub gardens. I loved all of that. And it really felt like a big gaping hole in my life, especially because I didn't know what to do at weekends. Like I felt like I had oceans of time to fill and no idea how to fill it. And it took time to figure all, I had to go through that grief process and that feeling of loss. And because it always comes back to the cost of drinking is always going to outweigh any of those perceived benefits. And then down the road, what I discovered was I could still go to the pub. I could still go to the pub and enjoy a roast dinner and the football. In fact, I love English soccer. And I would spend, my team's Liverpool, by the way. I would always want to watch soccer in the pub. And I could do that without drinking alcohol. Amazing. Amazing. So just know the rituals and identity and the patterns that you have around alcohol, they will be replaced with better ones. It just takes some time, okay? So the thing is about stopping drinking is people take it really, really personally. It's just strange how that happens. People are going to take it really personally and make it about them. And it's not. And you need to allow other people, your friends, to have their process, right? Because chances are, I'm going to say, there's a bunch of people in your friendship groups who drink the way that you do, who are also questioning their relationship with alcohol. And you may be the first person that they kind of encounter who has successfully stopped drinking and makes sobriety look really attractive. But you can't tell them or persuade them or get them to stop. You just need to let them have their own process because it's going to be different from yours, right? And we need to make peace with the changes in relationships. Something my clients go through is quite often they come from families that drink. Like drinking is just a really big part of what they do as a family when they get together. They grew up with their parents drinking. And then when they were old enough to drink, drinking was just part of what they do as a family. And it's going to create some shifts and changes. And like I said, not everyone will like that or feel comfortable with it. The most important thing is that you understand why you cannot drink and that you are different and that you are not prepared to pay the cost, and let them do their thing, right? You know, you can still like go to the pub with your family. You just don't need to be there till 2 a.m. doing drinking games, right? You can still like, there's a lot of crossover where you can still be part of their world, but not have the crazy, dysfunctional, toxic stuff that alcohol creates in those environments. And that's the thing about our friendships and our relationships. Alcohol creates a lot of crazy, dysfunctional, toxic stuff. And the thing is, that's going to go. It makes your relationships, your friendships so much easier when all of that crazy stuff is absent. And what we want to aim for is we want to create aligned friendships, right? We want to create friendships with people who are aligned with our values and our lifestyle. And this is why it may not be a bad thing that some people leave your life and it creates space for other people to come in, because it's going to get old really, really quickly about having people in your life that drink and that they don't want to quit and they want to drink to get drunk. What's just going to happen is you just grow past people. Like you're just in different, like they let them be them. You're just going to grow past people. And that's what's going to happen. The most important thing is that you understand why you cannot drink, that you are not prepared to pay these consequences, and that your friendships are going to change and alter. And when it all shakes down, it's going to be for the best for everybody. Let me know what you think in the comments below.